Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a look at Thailand, a country that, from the outside, it looks like this huge success story. But for so many households actually living there, it feels a lot more like a trap. We're going to dig into this paradox of an economy that looks incredibly rich, but where many people feel anything but. And this question right here, it just gets straight to the heart of it. This is the central tension for millions of families all across the country, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack. So, on one side, you've got the image, right? Gleaming, busy malls in Bangkok, a global tourism machine, and new condos popping up everywhere you look. But just beneath that shiny surface is a totally different reality. Household debt levels that are some of the highest in all of Asia, a savings rate that is shockingly low, and an economy that's really struggling to keep up. Okay, so let's take a much closer look at this gap between what things look like and what they actually are. This brings us to our first section, Thailand's borrowed dream. So let's talk about the anatomy of this debt. Why exactly are so many households in Thailand in such a financially shaky position? What's really going on? Well, first up is this number, and it is absolutely staggering. Household debt is sitting at over 90% of the country's entire economic output, its GDP. I mean, this isn't just a little problem. We're talking about a systemic issue that puts Thailand right near the top of the list in Asia for household debt. Now look at the flip side of all that massive debt. The average household savings rate? It has just plummeted to between 1 and 2%. Think about that. When almost all of your money is going just to pay off loans, there is practically nothing left over for the future or for, any kind of emergency. And this is where it gets really real. This chart shows the squeeze. The average household income in a city like Bangkok is about 39,000 baht a month. But the basic monthly costs for a family, that can easily be 50,000, 70,000, even 90,000 baht. You see the problem, right? For a lot of people, the margin for savings isn't just zero, it's negative. And the only way to fill that gap is to take on more debt. But listen, this isn't just a math problem. It runs so much deeper. It's cultural. You've got these powerful pressures to spend, this deep-seated duty to support your parents financially, this idea that owning property is the #1 sign of success, and of course that constant social pressure to maintain face with the right car, the latest phone, the perfect lifestyle. And all of this creates what you could call an installment mindset, where, hey, if the monthly payment looks manageable, the absolutely crushing total cost of the debt just gets ignored. So where do we go from here? How do you even begin to find a solution? Well, it starts by completely redefining what wealth even means in this context. It's about shifting the entire goal from looking rich to actually being financially free. So what does truly wealthy even mean? Well, it's not about the luxury car or the fancy condo. It's a state of having very low debt, having a strong financial cushion for when things go wrong, and, maybe this is the most important part, having the freedom to just say no to all those pressures that are pushing you deeper and deeper into debt. A really crucial point here is that not all debt is created equal. The goal is to get rid of the bad debt. We're talking high-interest credit cards, personal loans you took out for just stuff, for consumption, status purchases. In this framework, the only acceptable debt is a well-managed mortgage on a home you can actually genuinely afford. Okay, that might sound great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Let's break down a really practical framework for building this kind of genuine wealth. This is a real path to financial freedom. So this path has 4 pretty clear steps. First, you stabilize. That means building an emergency fund and really attacking those high-interest debts. Second, you protect yourself and your family with the right insurance, so one emergency doesn't completely wipe you out. Third, you start to grow by investing for the long term. And finally, you simplify, focusing on low-cost investment options that you actually understand. Let's really zero in on that first step, building a buffer. Your #1 goal is to save 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. Keep it somewhere simple and safe, okay? A basic savings account, a low-risk money market fund. And here's the key tactic, automate it. Set up a transfer that happens the day you get paid before you even have a chance to spend it. This flips the script entirely on that cultural trend where 1 in 3 people actually prioritizes luxury spending over saving. But here's the thing. All the financial tools in the world won't work without a change on the inside. So this final section is all about the mindset shift that's absolutely required to create that financial margin in your life. This ancient piece of wisdom just frames the issue perfectly. Debt isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It is a loss of freedom. It limits your choices, it creates enormous stress, and seeing debt as a form of bondage, that can be a really powerful motivator to make a change. So, the core change here is moving from what you could call a trophy mindset to a steward mindset. What does that mean? It means you stop seeing your income as a trophy to show off to everyone, and you start seeing it as a resource that's been entrusted to you, something to be managed wisely for the long-term good of yourself and your family. So, how do you know if you're on the right track? Well, here's a simple test. You know you're winning when your consumer debt is almost zero, when you have that solid 6-month emergency fund sitting there, when your spending and your generosity come from an actual surplus, not from taking out more loans. And maybe most importantly, when you can say no to all that status pressure and not feel an ounce of guilt about it. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question to think about. It just cuts through all the noise about status and appearances and asks what really, truly matters. Are you building a life of true stability and generosity, or just one that looks good from the outside, propped up by a mountain of debt? The answer to that question really defines the entire path forward.